guys. Welcome back to the List Night podcast. As always, joined by Thomas Albert and Andrew Simon. My name is Griffin. Thank you for tuning in. We could not decide on a title for this week. You know, we knocked around a bunch of possibilities. I think you're going to figure it out from the different titles I give you. We thought about calling it Up Close Moments. We thought about calling it Courtside Moments. We thought about calling it Moments You Wish You Could Witness. I think, Thomas, you had a couple 2-sentence long ones.
Yeah, it was moments we weren't there for, but if we could be, we would have been. And also, if you had a time travel machine and you got 5 jumps, these are the 5 you would consider going to, but you'd have to come back.
I can't wait to make an Instagram graphic for that.
But you'd have to come back was the end of that sentence because it very much sounded like there was a comma.
Or a question mark.
Or a question mark. Yeah, that's right. Maybe Thomas doesn't want to come back from these 5 time travel jumps.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the rules of time travel.
Right.
I know the rules of List Night, not time travel.
These are just
absolutely do not know the rules of List Night because, dear listener or viewer, there are very few rules to List Night. We do not plan these out very well ahead of time. We don't really set a criteria on the list, so you may end up seeing very different lists from all of us. Before we get going, I just want to say, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed before, click the subscribe button. If you end up enjoying the list, if you end up hating the list, if you want to give us your own list, you can comment below. We really, really love engagement, and we love when people share it with their friends. So whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening on Spotify, on Apple, whatever platform you're using to listen to this, really appreciate if you share it with somebody, or even just follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, interact with the stuff we put out there. I'm asking a lot right now. I know you're just trying to listen to a podcast, but engagement does make us feel good about the pod, and we like putting out episodes for everybody. So that's my little spiel about that. Our order this week is going to be me, and then it's going to be Andrew, and then it's going to be Thomas. Like I said, I feel like these lists are going to go in very different directions. Did you guys feel good about this list? I know we were really excited to have a non-media focused list because we've been doing a lot of those, and I don't know, maybe we'll end up having very media focused lists. I don't know.
I mean, just the fact that we couldn't even agree on the title of this episode kind of tells the story. Like, we used to not be able to agree on the rules and the criteria. Now we can't even agree on what the list is. So we'll see.
Quick sidebar. Do you think they let us use What Are the Rules, the song from Always Sunny? Because I
absolutely
feel like
not.
We should start using that.
They will absolutely kick us. Actually, I mean, we could probably pitch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or do the 1.5 times speed that some people do, and then they'll probably let us use them.
I feel good about this list because I don't feel good about it, and I'm at my best when I ramble and make 0 sense.
Sure. I don't know if I would say you're at your best because your best is.
I'm at my most fun.
It's proven to be relatively.
That's when you get the most pity
inadequate
votes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew, to your point about us, not knowing the rules or anything like that. Today we couldn't even agree on the name of our podcast.
Right. That's my point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This could be I don't know. I might have a list about snacks. I might have not even followed the prompt at all. We'll see.
Based on the way some of our other lists have played out, I could very well see food being on somebody's list, like the invention of some specific food or the opening of some specific restaurant. I don't want to give anything away ahead of time.
Opening night.
But I'm willing to bet that food's going to fall on someone's list. Could be mine. Who's to say? Let's get it going, right? I mean, I'm ready to. I'm not confident about my list this week. I'll say that.
Give us your number 5 that 20 minutes ago you said you didn't have.
20 minutes. Well, no, 20 minutes ago I could not decide between 2 other things. Between 2 things for my number 5, but I will give you my number 5. It's I want you guys to have it in your head. It's the early 2000s, New York City. Pretty major terrorist event is going on. People are not having a great time. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man saves the train from Doc Ock. You're one of the people on the train. You're watching him make the most heroic move ever happen. You're there for the entire thing. You pull his mask off. Oh my God, it's Daily Bugle reporter Peter Parker. You're there for the reveal. And then you never tell anyone about it. You keep that secret to yourself, but you're there as an observer.
quick two things off the bat. Not a real event. Also,
I watched it. I watched it happen.
No one knew who he was because he's not a Daily Bugle reporter. He's just a guy who takes pictures.
Daily Bugle cameraman,
Photographer.
freelance photographer.
There we go.
The worst version of a photographer, one who is not even on payroll.
I will say no to this because it does not, like, yeah, I'm sure it ends up with a cool story, but probably possibly traumatizing. And for someone who can't drive a car, who would have to get on trains again, might mess you up.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty traumatizing. I like that Thomas just said no to it. Can we start doing this?
Right?
Like, no, like just
No.
switch
Griffin,
that one
go
out for a
fuck
different
yourself.
thing. But yeah, because it's fictional. Are you saying you want to be in the fictional universe where this is happening, or you just want to be where this is being recorded in some Hollywood?
I undoubtedly
studio?
want to be in the fiction. I want to live in a universe where
set.
Spider-Man exists. And I want to live in a universe where, it's Thomas's point, the most traumatizing thing to happen to me regarding New York City in the early 2000s is a train event with about 18 people, as opposed to, some obvious other alternatives involving planes.
So what do you want to be like? Where or who do you want to be in this situation? Just a person on the train?
Yeah. So the way that I thought about this was, and this is kind of to all my things on my list, everything that I'm exclusively an observer. Like, I'm not engaging in any of the events that happen. Like, I know what's happening. I'm around what's happening, but I can't influence any of it. And so after this one, it does all become real life events. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. So I just was like, oh, in this case, because that there's a bunch of train observers who witnessed the entire thing happen, I'll be one of the train observers. That makes sense. But if it makes it easier to be like, I'm a disembodied head just floating in the sky and watching Tobey Maguire have a hugely heroic moment, that's fine too.
See, I imagine the scene where when they take off his mask or when his mask is off and they're like, he's just a kid. You'd be there like, yeah, he looks like a bitch.
Yeah, he's got a fat face for a
And if
Spider-Man.
that's the case, I'm in.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I am affecting it at that point because I've taken Peter Parker's heroic moment and I've turned it into an excuse to bully him.
I knew that kid in school. He's a bitch.
My name's Flash Thompson.
The more I think about it, the more I have to agree with Thomas and say no, because it's just like, so the real life like equivalent to this to me would be like Captain Sully landing the plane in the and they all survive in the river, and the Hudson River, but it's still a traumatizing event that I wouldn't want to be at. It's like great, like
not for disembodied Griffin who can't face the consequences of what happened.
Yeah, but if you're just a disembodied floating head, then you're just watching the movie.
Right, exactly.
You're right. That's true. That's true.
So the place you want to be at is your own couch watching.
With that being
movie.
The case, I'll take the trauma in exchange for having this be a valid pick.
Yeah, you're learning what watching a movie is.
Right? Yeah.
Is there a Spider-Man? I don't think there's a Spider-Man 2, right? Maybe there is. I have no idea.
Probably. I mean, there might have used to be.
Can I tell you guys what my number 5 was originally going to be?
No.
Did you give different answers? I feel like you did.
Yeah, we can't agree on anything.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what it was, and hopefully it's not on either of your lists. And I specifically took this off my list because I didn't want to end up being the Jesus guy. It was going to be just sitting inside the cave with Jesus post-death for I think it's 3 days, for the entire time that he's in there, and just being like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're going to figure this one out. That was going to be my number 5 originally. I wanted to solve that mystery.
So you're just going to wait in there with his dead body and then wait for him to get up?
Yeah, I mean, my idea of the cave, and this may have been influenced by fiction and movie portrayals and stuff, is that it's like a pretty roomy cave, where in reality I'm sure it probably wasn't.
Do you have like snacks with you? This isn't on your list. Move on.
It's not on my list, but that's where I was going to go with it. And then I was like, I've used Christ pretty recently. I don't want this to become my thing, like talking about my dad was in the early episodes. So
I just feel like you would stare at his body waiting for something to happen, and then eventually you would fall asleep, and then as soon as you woke up he'd be gone, and you'd be like, God damn it.
But that would be something. That would at least be like, okay, well, I mean, like, I'm sure if somebody came in I would have woken up. I don't know.
All right.
There's holes in it, but I just wanted to tell the listeners back home that I almost went in that direction. Number 4 on my list, Not a super crazy choice. This one I could see being on everyone's list. I'd like to be an observer when JFK got shot, and more specifically, I'd like to observe whoever the fuck it was that shot him, especially if it was from both angles. Like I would like to have a very clear understanding of what happened when his head got blown off. I want to be very clear. I do not want to be an observer watching the parade or one of the people in the car. That seems like that would be hugely traumatic. Not into that. Don't want to be up close and personal with JFK brains all over me.
Yeah, but this showed up on a lot of things when I researched like what people wish they witnessed or were there for. I just don't understand why. I guess in my head, you're not time traveling because you don't want to be there observing it, but you want to see it.
Oh, I am time traveling. I mean, I guess
Okay.
I'm not able to just for my own curiosity. Like I can't influence anything and like come back and be like, the CIA killed JFK, because first off, we know. Second off, what am I going to do with that information? I just want to know. I'm just curious.
Is every thing on your list like traumatic?
Yeah, right.
It could be. Let's
Pretty
mostly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't see his head get blown off, you're gonna hear the screams.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I could also watch like a recording of it and hear like the crowd go crazy. So
yeah, I mean, this is like not a surprising pick. I don't blame you for it. I understand that most people want to understand what went down a little bit better, but I guess if you can't like influence anything, if you can't expose what actually happened to the world, then I don't know. It's like less of a, I'd be less interested in just like seeing it and like I'm the only one who has this information now and I can't do anything with it.
knowledge.
Yeah. But my favorite conspiracy about that is that his head just exploded. that there was no bullet. But
he just had the most extreme aneurysm of all time.
Yeah.
I know it's only been 2 items on your list, but they just sound like really bad TV series pitches. Or maybe like TV episode pitches.
Thomas, let me tell you, from the heart, I would happily be the showrunner for a really bad TV series.
Yeah, you could be like the protagonist who it's just like Griffin the observer and you don't do anything. You just
why would
like,
I have my name in this fictional show? Why would I retain the name Griffin?
Because it's the most it's the most mundane, boring show because you're just like going and witnessing these events but not influencing them at all.
What are you going to be, Blaze the Observer?
It sounds like you're describing. It sounds like you're describing the History Channel before it became about like reality TV.
It sounds like you're
the most mundane thing is observing history. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I'm sure they've shown videos of the grassy knoll.
What's the Carl Sagan show that got rebooted with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where it's like him across the universe?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I'd watch that show. I'd watch a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show with Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse, whatever it is, where he like bounces around the universe. That's basically what it is. It's like him observing, minutia and moments of the universe. But neither here nor there. We'll move on to number 3. Number 3 on my list, and this is another, I guess, traumatic one, but really not for me. I'd like to be present for Hitler's suicide. That's it. I would just like to be there. It's another one of those things where people are kind of curious about the way things actually went down. And really, I'd like to see the lead up to it. Like, what was that day like for you?
Yeah, you want to see his like full just mental breakdown and demise, which I can't. I mean, no one can blame you for wanting to see that. That would be.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind having the knowledge of that.
Yeah, grab the popcorn, I guess, and just watch. But
disembodied popcorn.
Yeah, again, it's just this one's not necessarily like traumatic because I think it's a good thing, but it's still morbid. So
it's definitely morbid. It's traumatic for a good percentage of our country, I think.
Yeah,
but not for me. For me.
I wouldn't put it on my list because it's enough for me that it happened that I don't need to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like with JFK, there is conspiracy theory surrounding it. I don't really fully think there's like that much actual legitimate craziness to the conspiracy theory. I think it's likely that it played out the way they said it did, but there's always the chance that we have the wrong idea of it. And that's something that, like, if you were to relay it to the world, like, it wouldn't change anything really. If you were like, somebody put a bullet in his head rather than him taking like cyanide, like,
No.
end result's the same. You just have a different idea of what happened.
Right. But I do
mean,
understand the desire to see events that are that there's a ton of conspiracies surrounding them, because, just for your own, just wanting to set the record
but see,
straight.
that's not enough for me. I'd want to be able to prove it to all the idiots.
I agree.
Sure.
I agree with that.
But I mean, I think we can legitimately say, even if you have all of the facts of a situation, proving it to idiots is not something that we can do. So we have to accept that a lot of people would never believe it regardless.
Exactly. I think a lot of conspiracies come up even when there's like hard evidence of, one thing happening, and people just decide to make their own conspiracies for no reason.
Yeah. But I mean, we all obviously on this pod, to the listeners back home, the List Night podcast is a flat earth podcast.
Oh yeah.
There are edges to our planet. And if you don't believe that,
I've seen them.
You're a dunce.
Yeah.
I've
you've seen them. You've seen them.
I've
Thomas,
observed them.
World traveler Thomas Albert.
Yeah. Thomas has been all the way across the earth.
He almost fell off. All right. Number 2 on my list. This one is a little weird. I kind of want to call it a 2-parter because I can't really decide which perspective would be more interesting. This is one that's really just like something interesting to me, or a moment that I'd like to witness. But it's a 2-parter because I don't know which perspective would be more interesting. I'd like to watch the original moon landing and that entire process, really. But I don't know if it would be enough for me to just, be an observer of one of the like biggest moments of human history, like from the perspective of people on Earth at the time, or if I would like to like be a disembodied head in the cabin with the astronauts while it all played out. Like, I guess I just want to see it. Like, I just think it would be the coolest thing to have been witness to. And, obviously I've ranted about like space and stuff in our friend group, and just randomly, I rant about space a lot. I think it's just one of the most interesting things we've ever done as a species. And I'd like to be there for it. And I don't know. This is just a personal one for me.
Well, I feel like they should all be personal, since all of these, you can't share the information. No one will believe you. They're all personal. I did write down watch OG moon landing when I'm writing down notes for your list. So let's just call it that from now on. I mean, I get it. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where it'd be really cool to see like for the first time, but you'd have to not know like the future. Like to go back to watch the moon landing, it's like, well, it's going to happen. But if you're watching it for the first time with no knowledge, like with the suspense of what's going to happen, are they going to be okay? Is this really happening? I get it.
Yeah.
To go back
I think
and watch
it's more the idea of being, and again, like I can't affect anything. And even if I was like a real human observer, like watching it happen, I couldn't affect anything regardless. Like things are already in motion. I just feel like it must have been one of the most exciting moments ever. And it was like a collective moment, at least across our country, that I'd like to be present for that. But then again, at the same time, it's like, if I had to choose between that and being on the moon with the astronauts when they landed, like that one's obviously the cooler one, but then why not just say any of the moon landings really? It's the first one that's the biggest deal.
It's also the more terrifying one, being with them on the moon.
A lot of shit went wrong.
You could be with Michael Collins and wait in the lunar capsule while they were jumping around on the moon. Although Norm Macdonald has a great bit about that, how that was like, just like he just had to sit there and watch them. And that must have been like,
the time of their life. Didn't he lead a future Apollo mission? I think he did.
I don't know.
I want to say he did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna counter you and say I'd like to observe it and watch it from Russia. Because while United States and other places, it was probably like such a high, in Russia it was probably like the number of walls that had holes in them, probably pretty high.
Holy shit. So you want it to be a traumatic moment.
No, I want to see that much anger from an entire nation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was something to behold. I don't know. I hadn't even thought about that. That's how American centric I am. I hadn't even thought about how other people would have felt about it. But yeah,
The
I can't
exact
imagine a lot
opposite
of
how
people,
America felt
You
about
sound
it.
like an American. Yeah.
people in the USSR were probably not pleased about it. I do sound like an American. All right, number one on my list. Biggest event in the history of anything. I would like to be present for the immediate preceding seconds to the Big Bang, and the immediate following seconds. And then I think it'd probably be a good time to dip out before I like lost my mind. But yeah, I'd like to witness when there was nothing and then there was something. Because there's literally no way to fathom what that means.
Yeah, I think you would literally go insane. So have fun with this dumb pick.
Yeah, are you asking to be God? I don't
Look,
like because
let's not get into that.
If there is nothingness, then where are you observe? Where are you in the?
What are you observing?
I don't know.
That's a great
observing?
question. I don't know the answer to that question. How do you like? It's nothing with a capital N and then something with a capital S. Like I don't know.
You know, I'm gonna instead of thinking deeply about this, I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah. So are you talking about like the preceding moments before like they decided to make the show, or like the preceding moments before they thought of it?
I'd like to be there from the ground level. I'd like to be an executive producer on the show. It's made a lot of money and I would like to get some of that money, but I can't influence events. So like whatever.
I mean, I understand your curiosity of it. I just like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Andrew's answer of no.
Oh, it was originally your answer of no. So in a way, he kind of took it from me.
It was mine for the previous list, previous items.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I understand your sentiment, but it's one of those things that if I think about for more than 3 seconds, I'll go insane. So I choose not to think about it because that makes life better. But yeah, there was nothingness, and then Chuck Lorre wrote the script, I guess, and then
that's good. I'd be fine with that too. I don't like that show. It'd be, I guess, interesting to be a fly on the wall for that one. We're gonna make a show about nerds, and don't worry, guys, we're gonna make sure you know how much they suck. All right, let me give you the recap. Number 5 on my list: the greatest terrorist event in New York in the early 2000s. Spider-Man saving the train from Doc Ock.
You just keep saying that.
I don't love that you keep wording it that way.
Number 4, JFK getting shot. Potentially both perspectives of the shooter, if there are 2 perspectives. Number 3, Hitler's suicide. Number 2, U.S. landing on the moon, both from the U.S. and from the moon. And number 1, the Big Bang.
So
there's a lot of punctuation in mine.
Yeah, the way we word them is JFK or Hitler suicide.
Yeah. And I put in. I actually wrote out suicide ? I didn't put a question mark. I wrote question mark.
Fair enough. And JFK shot?
Well, no, he I think he was definitively shot. That's not up for debate. I think it's who shot him and was it
multiple exploded.
People?
Yeah, don't rule out the head exploding theory.
Maybe 8 atomic wings earlier in the day. Had one too many.
Yeah,
and shit himself backwards.
If something
drink some gasoline and
if somethingness can come from nothingness, then anything is possible. That's what we've learned from your list.
Maybe he just had a really big. Maybe he thought maybe he was transported back to the Big Bang like on the astral plane, and it blew his head. Who knows?
Yeah. An overall grade for your list, which is it's a thing we decided to do now.
Did we?
I'd give it a no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd also give it a no.
Thomas, I gotta ask you.
It's gonna come down to Randy Jackson and his vote. So
when you were in school, were you receiving report cards and papers with no on them?
The report cards,
or
no.
Were you
papers,
getting the
yes.
grade of no from your teachers? Because if so, that would explain a lot of things.
Many of my papers said No. That's it.
not even see me after class.
No.
It wasn't
no.
like there wasn't corrections. It was just no.
I got a B. I got a C. I got a no.
It says a lot about where Thomas is now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his just
Oh no.
overall
It certainly explains a lot of really where all of us are, that we choose to associate with him, and that he's now imparted this grading system onto us. I'll take your no, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to my list, where I hope I get some yeses from you guys.
It's not what matters at all.
So number 5 on my list is the Great Emu War of 1932. So this was
great pick, sir.
So this was a war against emus that Australians took up after the Great Depression, because they just wanted to make sure that all their crops were bountiful, and the emu population was kind of destroying them. And so, they basically declared war on the emus and tried to kill them. And the best part is the emus won by a lot.
By a lot?
Yeah, by a lot. There was one specific event where they round up like 1,000 emus, and they just round them up and brought them together, and then they tried to shoot them with machine guns, and all their machine guns jammed, and they didn't kill a single one, and all the emus got away. And now the emu population in Australia is like over 750,000. Like, they're thriving, they're doing well, and I just want to see the look of frustration on the Australians' face as they tried to kill the emus, and the emus just keep outsmarting them.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say their guns jamming is outsmarting them. I think
that was just one specific instance, and also maybe
Griffin,
the emus jammed the guns.
Like, you weren't there. You don't know. Emus
they got all the gunpowder wet, and they were like, they're not even going to know what happened.
Emus are telekinetic. We all know that.
Yeah,
it's clearly why they wanted to exterminate them.
This pick gets a yes from me.
Yes.
Yeah, great pick. This didn't even cross my mind. I wish it had. It's one of 2 animal versus human wars where the humans lost, and I appreciate that.
Is this a dollop thing? Like, is this something that people commonly know?
At one point.
Got it.
Was a
I've never heard of this before in my life, but every time the dollop comes up with like their recollect or their historical stuff, like, it makes me want to listen to it, and then I'm like, the way that you guys describe it is way better. It's like 30 seconds. I assume it's intended to be comedic.
We're like the cliff notes of
the cliff notes of a cliff notes.
Right. I was about to say the podcast itself is already a cliff noted version.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're just observing?
Yes.
You're not like rallying the emus?
No, I think
they're general.
I think I would be I would be disguised as an Australian, but I would really be on Team Emu.
There's disguises? You guys have disguises on your list?
I thought you were going to say disguised as an emu.
No.
I just imagine him in like an emu outfit, like leading the rest of the emus. And then honestly, in this situation, they're probably getting wiped out because I imagine he's not a great.
Oh yeah, I would lead them right into the gunfire probably.
Is your Australian disguise just like a tanner you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I would just yeah. I mean, I think that I would just want them to think that I was on their side, but really in the back of my head, I'd be like cheering every time the emus got away. I'd be like, oh no, we can't get them.
You'd be like, guys, shoot them. And then when they start running, you're just like, good job.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I love that you've incorporated disguises. It's way better than
I'll
my
see if I can
head.
somehow get a disguise in every single one of my picks, but I haven't thought that far ahead. My number 4 is another American president being shot, not JFK. This was Teddy Roosevelt being shot in 1912 because the rumors are that he basically, his 50-page speech helped him survive because it like slowed the bullet down. And then he continued on to give said speech after being shot. So I kind of just want to see what that was like. If he was just shook it off, if he just got grazed and it wasn't a big deal, if he was like borderline dying while giving that speech. I'd be curious about that. And then it's also less morbid than Griffin's because no one's head explodes.
Well,
What
we don't know that. I'm sure they killed some people after the fact.
what I think is the most impressive fact is that not that he gave the speech, but that he was still able to read or remember the speech. Because if it's 50 pages, that's a long ass speech. And you got to imagine the bullet did some damage to the last couple pages at least. So for him to get through it, that's just impressive.
Also, did he memorize it? There's a big bullet hole
That's
in the
what I'm
middle of all
saying.
the pages. Like
50 page, memorize 50
I'm sure
pages?
it was probably an outline. Like there's no way he was reading off of 50 pages. Like the guy.
Correct, he memorized it.
Yeah.
50
yeah,
pages worth.
Yeah, he probably had, cliff notes for himself. It's an all-time moment. Like it's honestly, it's one of the most badass things I guess anybody could do.
I feel like 50 pages of paper is lighter than Kevlar. Has anyone thought of that?
Lighter than Kevlar. Oh, you think like our soldiers in our oil
like new
wars
vests.
should just like wear paper all over them?
I mean, if it works.
Yeah, I use a lot of paper. Not
50 pages
super
of paper.
environmentally friendly.
Fuck the trees.
I mean, is the military ever? Is that their number one goal?
I think that's their number one goal. Yeah, is to be environmentally friendly.
Okay.
That's why they kill people so that they can't affect the environment.
Didn't realize
This is
Yeah.
another one where I understand the sentiment, but I think just knowing it happened is enough for me. So this gets a
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Better
think
than
it's
a no.
I do think it's a good
this
pick.
grading system is working.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. It'd be
There's-
cool to witness someone do something like up close and personal. If I assume you're like somewhere relatively near him, or you're even just an attendee for the speech, it'd be cool to watch someone
I'm
do something that
disguised as
fucking
someone
badass.
who's attending the speech.
You're
Disguised
disguised
as
as a Secret Service agent who just failed in
Australian
his job.
Emu.
Yeah.
You're
So
a
here's my
Secret Service
question.
agent who chose not to take that bullet for him.
Right.
Let's say you are in the crowd, you witness it, and you know he got shot, he gave a speech. So afterwards, are you inspired to go out and party, or are you inspired to like go to hit the gym because you're motivated to be awesome?
I'll be honest, I don't know what was in that speech. I don't know what the speech was about. I should have done more research. It depends on what the speech was about. Because maybe like
The extermination of the Jews,
right, exactly. Maybe he got like, it was,
why he was advocating for it.
exactly.
I think we're mixing lists here.
And I'd be like,
I mean, are we?
like I was just
The early 1900s were, regardless, not a great time to be a Jew in really any country.
oh man. Yeah, there was a lot of Teddy Roosevelt moments that could be on this list. The guy was an interesting character to say the least.
Was it
So,
Teddy? Was it Teddy that fought a bear?
I'm sure. You think FDR fought a bear?
Yeah.
Oh, it must
He-
have. Well,
he
I mean,
also-
young FDR hadn't been crippled yet, but yeah,
Well,
it
I
must
know,
have been
but
Teddy. Teddy, I want to say, got like knocked off a horse or something during some like excursion, and like up close shot a bear. Like,
You're
not
you're
that I'm
thinking,
advocating killing bears, but that's just insane.
You're thinking of Leonardo DiCaprio. Teddy had two bears live on property at the White House, and FDR had his, I believe, Yorkie fall off a boat in Alaska and get rescued.
I promise you, I'm not mixing those things up. I wasn't confusing it with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think you're making a reference to The Revenant, but I haven't seen it, so I don't
Good movie.
know.
It's a good movie.
Oh, no spoilers.
All right. My number 3 is probably the most morbid on my list, actually. I don't know why these things just like
Historic. We're talking history. A lot of
when you're
morbid
thinking
stuff happened
history,
in
yeah, like no one's like it was a happy day in 1911. Like that doesn't get remembered. Anyways, so there was a surgeon in the 1800s by the name of Robert Liston, and he performed an operation that had a 300% mortality rate. He was supposed to save one patient, and he ended up killing 3 people.
Did this come up very recently on Twitter or something?
I don't know. I came across it when doing my own research, to be honest.
Well, I mean, you got to do your own research, alternative facts. And
Yes,
such.
that's where the conspiracies come from. But yeah, it's I would like to be there, hopefully not being one of the people killed by this guy, but I just want to see how wrong an operation can go to the point that he killed 3 people. So basically the loose records of what they have is that he ended up like accidentally cutting off 2 fingers of his assistant during the surgery, and both the assistant and the patient ended up dying of gangrene. because it was just very unsanitary, the whole situation. And then the third death is like a little bit more confusing, but I guess there was like other doctors or spectators that would like watch the surgeries from the gallery sometimes. And like he somehow like swiped some elderly doctor with a blade somehow, and the guy later died of a heart attack. So like, can you just imagine like the guy's worst day of work ever, and just it's like just the more he tries to help, the more people he kills.
I had heard of this before, but thinking of it that way is even better. Like all he's doing, he's just trying to help, and he just keeps killing people.
He gets home from work that day, and his wife asks him how his day was. He puts his hat on the thing, and he's just like, I'm going to bed. We're gonna try again tomorrow.
Not today, Susan. Not today.
Like, do you remain a surgeon after that? Like,
I mean, that's a question for you. I don't know the answer.
You killed the rest of the staff. There's no one else to do the surgery.
Yeah.
At that point, like, are people signing up to be colleagues of this guy, or are they like burned down the hospital?
Yeah, maybe after he killed his assistant and the patient, he saw the doctor in the gallery and was like, "This guy's going to take my job," so he just killed him.
Yeah, that's also. Let's think about it. Maybe he knew very much what he was doing the entire time, and he was just like the most blatant serial killer ever in full view of a bunch of people.
It sounds like he was a serial killer.
He was like, I want an audience for all of this. Gangrene my ass.
Yeah.
Goddamn, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good
Anyways,
one. I don't know why you'd want to be an observer for it. I mean,
yeah. The thing is, if you're an observer for that, it sounds like there's a high chance you die.
Hey, Andrew, what'd you do with your time travel machine this weekend? Oh, I watched 3 people die.
I kind of just want to be like
a medical procedure.
I honestly just kind of want to be like heckling the guy as he like failed.
maybe time traveler Andrew is the reason why he failed. Maybe you already went back and heckled this man.
Yelling at him.
You know what probably happened is we have the events wrong, because they didn't die that day. So he probably went home and was like, Susan, it was such a success. It was a great surgery. Only lost 2 fingers. Not that bad. And a week later, it was like, they're all dead.
Yikes. Yeah.
I fucked up.
But if I could just be in the gallery, just like, boo, like do the surgery right. Like, stop killing people. You suck. That'd be great.
You just can be there with 50 pages that all say "Go Emus." Cheering.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just combining all yours together.
Yes. All right. Cool. Yeah. So my number 2 is was already said. It was the moon landing, 1969. And I went back and forth on this because I would legitimately be terrified to be outside of the Earth. Like, someone asked me recently if I would do like one of the the billionaires space travel thing, literally just go up and come back down if I had a free ticket.
Yeah.
I said no, because I'd be too afraid of dying. But this was a big moment. So maybe I just want to be witnessing it from somewhere. I'm unsure. I'm unsure what I want to be in this situation.
Just to pause you really quickly, if you are part of it and you're not just an observer, are you Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, or other one?
I feel like I gotta be Neil Armstrong. But if I'm gonna get all the way to the moon, I gotta go on the moon. At that rate.
you would be Neil Armstrong. See, I always felt that I'd be more of a Buzz Aldrin kind of guy. Like, I'm fine not being the man, but I'd want to be the man.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mind being Buzz Aldrin. I would go with them.
I feel like you don't want to be Buzz Aldrin. And
Neil Armstrong.
I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Neil Armstrong can still go first because he's got a cool name, so he should be remembered. Not
Buzz Aldrin doesn't have a cool name. His name's Buzz.
Yeah, what?
I'm not saying that I'm
There's
one or the
a
other.
Movie about him.
You'd rather be Neil than Buzz?
Buzz?
Am I speaking a different language? I'm not saying I want to be one or the other. I'm saying I'll be the third guy that goes along with them.
What you said was that Neil Armstrong has a better name than
Granted,
Buzz.
yes, Armstrong is a better name than Aldrin. I will give you that.
Yeah,
but it's not
Buzz
that much better of a name that it makes up the difference between Buzz and Neil.
Okay, all I was saying was that Armstrong has a better name than me. I don't want to be the first person on the moon.
Oh yeah, Andrew Simon,
You're saying Neil
not a moon
Armstrong
landing
is a better
name.
name than Andrew Simon?
Andrew Simon is not a moon landing name at all.
Let's just move on to my number 1. This is the worst day of my life. Jesus fucking Christ. God damn.
I think we can all agree. I look the most like Buzz Lightyear, so I should be the Buzz of the group.
No one cares.
Yeah, because you have a perfectly spherical head. You look like an action figure.
Not
a compliment. Not a compliment.
Back to that Norm Macdonald skit. That was my favorite joke is when he's talking about how Michael Collins had to watch them like jumping around on the moon, and he was just like, Neil and Buzz were probably nice guys. So Michael Collins was like, how was it, guys? How was the moon? And they were just like, nah. I mean, it was all right, I guess. Like,
but it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I prefer the lunar capsule, to be honest.
Is this entire episode just a way for you to talk about Norm Macdonald jokes? Because I'm for it. I mean, I'm not against it.
We could do a list of Norm Macdonald jokes. Oh man, love that guy.
Or anti jokes. King of the anti joke.
Yeah. All right. We ready for my number one? Is everyone ready?
So
I guess
this was the OG moon landing. Is that correct?
Yes, the OG one.
As it's now referred to.
No one cares about the others.
That is largely true. Yeah, no one really does care about the others.
Yeah. All right. So my number one is Andrew Jackson's funeral. And the reason that I would want to be there is because his pet parrot had to be removed because it was swearing the whole time. And I think that would be really funny.
I have heard of this before. Not in a million years would I think to go to it.
Not in a million years would I put this as my number one.
I would fight tooth and nail to let the parrot stay. I'd be like, that was his beloved pet. Let the parrot stay. And
that is his dad.
Yeah. And I just want to know what exactly the parrot was saying.
I want to know what it was saying. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I want a word for word.
Like, was he just like Tourette's guying it up the entire time? Just like, fuck shit. Like, what was he doing?
Yeah, was it coherent sentences? Or
was Andrew Jackson? And I feel like this is probably a yes. Was he renowned for swearing all the time?
I'm sure he was.
Yeah. So his parrot was trying to honor him, at the end of it all.
Honestly, the parrot was probably saying some really racist shit, especially against like Native Americans.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't calling them Native Americans. Let's get that out of the way right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. He was calling them the Washington Commanders. Yeah.
As one does. I'm ignoring the content, acknowledging the content of the pick. Really, I'm really curious what Thomas's number one is going to be, because yours is a pet swearing at a funeral and mine is the inception of the universe. So we've gone in very different directions for what we're leading.
We warned the audience at the onset of this podcast that it was going to go this way.
We warned them at the onset of every list, and some of them choose to listen anyways.
I think I would like almost reverse the order of your list, Andrew, because I feel like the Great Emu War is worthy of your number one.
Yeah,
but I mean that's me.
I like that you let off with it. It got me. This is a good funny list. I enjoy the comedy of this list.
Thomas hates it, but I mean I'll be honest. I put these 5 down and then I didn't have an order for them until I started talking. So
I hate it. I gave you at least one yes. I gave Griffin 5 no's.
Yeah.
Did you give me 5 no's?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like the moon landing is probably like okay, but guess you hate America.
Let me give my recap. Number 5, the Great Emu War of 1932. Number 4, Teddy Roosevelt being shot in 1912 and then continuing to give his 50-page speech. Number 3, Robert Liston's disaster of a surgery sometime in the 1800s where he was supposed to save one person and ended up killing 3. Number 2, the OG moon landing, 1969. And number 1, Andrew Jackson's funeral in 1845, where his pet parrot had to be removed because it was swearing too much.
So the Emu War was 1932?
Yes.
So less than 100 years ago, humans were warring with emus and lost.
And lost. Yes. And lost. That's the important part.
Yes. Lost big time.
Yeah. Yeah. 13 years later, we developed the atom bomb. So they should be very, very thankful that we didn't have it ready yet.
Yeah, the Australians were like, "Can we borrow one of those real quick?"
we got a problem in our backyard. We got to deal with this. I like that Robert's name is Robert Liston. I think that's just a fucking insane coincidence that that's his last name.
Yeah.
All right. Let's blow our socks off.
Number 5. June 4th, 1974, Cleveland, Ohio. This has been mentioned before. not today. 10-cent beer night.
10-cent beer
in
night. I knew it
Cleveland
was going
versus
to be
Texas
10-cent
Rangers.
It's
beer
just going to
night.
be your
I
sports
couldn't not
moment
put
list.
it on. I couldn't not put it on. Okay. It is too amazing of an event to not be at. And not just because there's cheap beer, but because the things that happened are just so insane. And to be there would just be fun.
I feel like it could be
Borderline dangerous.
I feel like it could be dangerous, yeah, but
Very
but
dangerous.
but fun. But fun.
So
No,
in this
I
situation, you'd be better
tried.
off as a disembodied head than a random observer. Are
You
you a
can't drink as
disembodied? Are you?
head.
What are you? Are you a ref? Are you a player? Are you a fan?
I'd like to be an audience. I'd like to
Like-
be a fan.
You'd like to be drinking 10-cent beers.
Yeah, but I'd like to be like in an area where like if I need to get out quick, I could. You know, I want to be safe but drunk.
I fully believe that if you were drinking 10-cent beers and a riot broke out, you would be one of the first people engaged. You may be the guy starting the riot.
Yeah.
No, I don't start riots. I let someone else start them, and then I take the lead from there.
And then you
I don't
loot.
like to be
Yeah.
the leader. I become the leader. You know,
Other
kinda
guys
like
start
listening.
riots and you start the looting.
See, I'd
Yeah.
like to be a baseball player that day. I mean, it might be even more dangerous with people throwing shit at you, I guess.
They got
but
hit with some shit.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I put this on the list, and I was like, I shouldn't. You know, I've done this one before, but I was like, no, I should because I want to be there.
Yeah,
so
that's fair enough.
10-cent beer night.
Yeah. I do, and I appreciate that. You know, we just chose this specific topic because we were like, we're doing a lot of media lists, we're doing a lot of sport lists. Let's go in a different direction. And then my number 5 was a piece of media, and your number 5 was from a sporting event. So we need to fucking branch out. Is the moral of the story.
My sporting event,
Andrew, you did great.
Isn't for the sports. So.
Right. It's in attendance at a sporting event and ignoring the actual sport.
I should have said this before, but it still works now. I didn't mind not really as an observer, but as things I want to be a part of. Some of it is a witness, but like a witness that gets to then be a part of it.
You want that mob mentality, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Part of a riot.
Number 4 is one of them where like I'd like to be there so I could change something. And that's what is it? Is 1859 in Titusville, Pennsylvania. And that's when Drake's Folly happened, which is considered like the birth of America and the world's
Toronto rap
dependence
scene.
on oil. On what?
I said the Toronto rap scene.
No. No. Drake's Folly is when what's his name? Something Edwin Drake. He struck oil, and it was the first like major oil drilling in America. So it's like considered how we got to where we are now using oil.
Just
So
like
I
the
was there.
definition of a slippery slope.
Yeah. What would you do here?
Well, like he was digging for a while, and then he went home for the night and came back, and there was a huge puddle of oil, and they started pumping 400 gallons every 24 hours from this spot. So when he went to bed, I would just move it somewhere where there wasn't oil. So he didn't find oil and maybe gave up. And then maybe we wouldn't be so dependent on oil. Dinosaurs would be coming back and we wouldn't be dying soon.
I just don't
What?
think you
I'd be
understand
stopping.
how
All right.
I'd be
Let's take a
Evolution.
really, really brief pause and acknowledge dinosaurs coming back. Like what?
I would single-handedly stop global warming so our scientists don't have to focus on saving us. They could be focused on bringing dinosaurs back as pets, or at least friends. They don't be pets, Pokemon, whatever. Just have them around.
But okay, if the only goal is to bring dinosaurs back, why don't you just stop
It's not
the
the
meteor that killed them?
The goal is to stop our dependency on oil and save the earth. The benefit, the side effect of that, the reward of it is me having a pet triceratops. Because imagine instead of cars and causing so many issues, you just ride a dinosaur around. We'd be the Flintstones.
Let me hit you with a not so hot reaction to this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a page from your book and I'm gonna say no.
Oh, I'm sorry that
I'm gonna say no to the fact
oil.
that the concept of this list, was things that we were observing. And you're out there being the time traveler who accidentally killed a butterfly and ended up ruining human civilization.
There was no accident. I purposely murdered
You
this man.
purposely stopped the oil industry and we never industrialized. And then we wouldn't have this podcast. And that would be a loss for a lot of people, like a small amount of people, but like some people.
I think it'd be a loss for 3 people, and only 2 of them are on this podcast.
Ooh.
Can we can we get
that's gonna keep me up tonight.
Can we get like a live feed of you when you're prepping these lists? And I'm assuming you got like a big chalkboard and you're like connecting lines and
he's
like
probably got a hot dog
doing, and yeah, you're honestly, like eating hot dog
he's
after hot dog.
spilling on himself, you know, he's licking it
You're
up.
up late in the night.
The reason we get this lovely view of my crap behind me is because the rest of my room is just strings thumbtacked from wall to wall.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense.
Like,
it's all connected.
You're
it's
like dependency on oil, bring dinosaurs back.
I literally don't have half my room because it's like a laser grid. Lasers I have to get through, and it's just string.
Cool. It's insane room to have, but cool.
You know, my initial reaction was going to be like Griffin's and just say no, but this pick's so dumb that I almost want to just like patronize you to the point that I say like, good job, like that was a good one.
Yes, thank you. I agree. It is good that I'm trying to stop global warming. Thanks, guys.
Yes,
yeah.
Because oil wouldn't have been.
I appreciate your belief that this will somehow, in the past 150 years, bring the dinosaurs back. I don't understand how you got from A to B, and I'm glad that you think that they're going to come back and we're going to have a Flintstone-like society.
Do you know how many smart people
we move our cars with our feet? But you know, look, man, good for you.
No, you fool. We're not moving cars with our feet. We're not using cars. We're using dinosaurs.
Okay.
So it's a Flintstone-like society with the exception of the things that were like the things in our society.
I only said the Flintstones because they had dinosaurs. The main point is
so the Flintstones aren't part of this.
The main point is there are so many smart people focused on global warming that if I stopped it, then they could focus on other things.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like dinosaurs.
Yeah, or like cancer research, or a number of things. But
yes,
you
get it. You get it.
No, your heart's in the right place. Like it's a noble thing to want to stop global warming. I just don't think this is like the method to go about it.
There's got to be better methods.
I think oil was probably already being dug elsewhere and would have continued to be dug if you just moved it that one time.
That's the other thing. That being your fix, to just move it instead of like, I don't know, kill that guy.
Well, because then like, if you kill Edwin Drake, his son's just gonna be like,
kill his parents. Then he's never born. I don't care. It's just moving the spot doesn't seem like it's going to solve the problem. It just feels like it's going to put the problem in a slightly different geographical location.
Well, then I keep moving it until he gets so angry. He's like, "There's ghosts here," and he gives up. All I'm saying,
and then people are hunting ghosts.
I want it stated. Thomas hates global warming. Griffin Andrew, okay with it.
Fully in support of it. I encourage it.
Yeah, it's
number 3.
I don't like winter.
September 13th, 2010. Big premiere. 25th season, Oprah Winfrey Show.
Jesus Christ.
And I'll tell you why. Because everyone in that audience got a expense paid for 8-day trip to Australia. And I wanted to be part of one of Oprah's giveaways, and this was the best one. So
Not that you got a car?
No.
Okay.
Like that would be fun and exciting, but I'd rather an 8-day expense paid trip to Australia than a car.
Yeah, less global warming that way. I guess that's true.
Yeah, watch out for those.
You get it. You get it. I'll watch out for the emus.
So you're an audience member. Like in this case, you are an observer.
Yeah, but I'm also receiving the trip to Australia.
Sure.
And like, do I have to hang out with Oprah? Yeah. Is she probably okay? Yeah. I could deal either way.
Would you describe it as hanging out with Oprah to
I mean,
I imagine to her show?
Well, no, she went on a trip too. So I imagine she like,
oh, did she? Okay.
In the morning for breakfast, she gives a little speech. And then she's like, all right, leave me. And then you come back and she gives a little speech at dinner. But it's 8 days in Australia.
It sounds culty, but
Is
Yeah.
Jared Leto there?
Yeah. I think this was a good thought to be there for one of Oprah's giveaways. Do you know who else was like what the show was about that day? Who was on the Oprah Winfrey show that day?
I do believe it was Mel Gibson.
Oh.
No.
That man knows filmmaking.
John Travolta, I think it was.
Okay.
He's had some duds.
I think it was. I think it was John Travolta. It was the premiere. It was the first episode of her final season. So like, I'm sure it was big.
So they went big with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a creative one, I guess. I'm
curious what your process was to arrive at that. Like, did you, when we talked about this topic, were you like, it's got to be like Oprah's got to be on that list?
No. My thought was, I want to be somewhere where I get something. And I was like, I should be like, there's the classic go back in time. You already know the lotto numbers, but no, like, I don't want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
But if you went somewhere where they gave away stuff, and I was like, who gives away stuff? Oprah.
Yeah.
And I looked up her best giveaways, and I thought this was it.
Yeah. So a little bit of like Back to
fair.
the Future, making a lot of money gambling shit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right.
There's my other option for my number 4. I go back, I kill Edwin Drake, I take over. I have $1 billion trillion. The Earth's still gonna explode, so you guys are happy.
So this wasn't this wasn't about the global warming ever. It was never about global warming. This was that you didn't get to be the guy to kick it off.
This was about your personal vendetta with Edwin Drake.
Yes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's fair.
My number 2 is gonna be I assume more expected than some other ones.
Number 5 is pretty expected.
That is 1940. I think it's, someone can correct me, Coahuila, Mexico. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know.
I don't know.
But Ignacio Anaya, credited with creating nachos.
Okay. All right.
As I believe the story goes, he owned essentially I think it was like, small hotel, but like bar restaurant, and a group of American wives crossed the border to do some shopping and stuff and came in for a bite to eat, and he had no cook or anyone back then. It was just him. So he took some corn chips, Colby cheese, and pickled jalapenos, baked it, and served it to them. And that was the creation of the nachos.
Change the world.
Which are named after his nickname, Nacho.
Nacho.
Wow.
Got it. Okay.
Because they are not nachos.
This you're right.
Not
this
yours.
is expected.
I knew there'd be snacks on one of these lists.
Yeah. So you say that at one point on my list of like 8 or so that I was, or 10 or so, I had May 15th, 1940, McDonald's barbecue, founded in San Bernardino. And I took that off because I was like, I've had a lot of really good barbecue. I don't know if McDonald's was like top tier barbecue. But I like where your head is at with nachos, because the OG nacho, much like we had the OG moon landing, you had the OG chip and cheese.
OG nacho.
And that's on brand for you, man. That is your brand.
Like, I understand wanting to be there for the historical significance of it, but I doubt that those nachos were like the most amazing nachos. Over time, people have perfected the nachos and gotten them better and better. So I feel like you'd be better off just going to a random bar today and just getting nachos than to be at this moment in time.
And here's where you're an idiot.
Are you one of these wine moms?
There's 2 options here.
Are you one of the women in the situation?
I could be with the women and I'm enjoying the nachos, or I could be with Ignacio, Nacho, and he'd be like, man, I don't know what to do. And I'd be like, hey man, why just one cheese? Add another cheese. and then instead of fast forward to now, and you're at the bar, you're like, oh, what do you want for appetizers? Wings. Wings are good. And then can we get some Thomas nachos? You guys want some Thomas nachos? Those are pretty good. Those are real good. I get the nachos, but there's not enough cheese. I get the Thomas nachos.
Like,
and that's not just one bar. That's everywhere.
Here's my thing on this.
Yeah.
And I already had a thing on this, and I've got another thing on this. Again, I'm gonna say no, because you're changing the past.
Yeah. So
We're observers. We're courtside for moments in history.
No. You.
That's the concept of the list. Whatever.
Okay.
You're right. We can go in any direction we want. You're right. But at the same time, I agree with Andrew's point. I feel like you were there for the worst version of the nacho.
I like
also
pickled
never had a nacho
jalapenos,
before,
I'll be honest.
so it's a new flavor for you. So maybe it doesn't matter how not great it is.
I'll tell you this: most bar nachos, they put too much on there.
I disagree.
Put too much on there.
I fundamentally disagree.
Did the wives enjoy the nachos so much to the point that it became like a legend that you found out about on the internet?
The legend is they never left and they all married him. And now they have
That's the legend.
Sister wives.
That's okay.
Wow.
That's
So
the
this
thing that
happened
didn't
not that
happen.
long ago. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the trajectory of the nacho after that. But to have been there would have
spread
been
far and
just
wide.
Yeah. This is
amazing.
one of those things like the first high five where it's just it's almost like hard to believe that there was any specific documented instance. Like someone had put cheese on corn chips before this point, you would think,
But nobody tried to market it as their creation.
Right.
Yeah. No one called it their own nickname.
Yeah. No one had that level of ego to be like, I'm going to take over an entire genre of food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give this one a no, but with the respect of I understand any food
because
pick.
you want nachos.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I respect that you got food on your list. I respect that you got food and beer on your list.
Here's my
for historical events.
You could say you could go to a bar now and get nachos, but like, I don't know, for the moon landing, you could go on the internet and watch it, or watch a different moon landing because it happened more than once, so it's not that impressive.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You are incredibly right on that. I feel like there's levels to this shit, but you are right.
Wait, okay, hold on. You said it happened. The moon landing happened more than once, so it's not that impressive. Nachos were made way more than once. They're made way more than once per minute.
I didn't say nachos were more impressive than the moon landing.
You tied them. You put them on the same level.
Say it.
I mean, I would say the creation of the nacho and the first moon landing. I mean, what's more important?
Yeah, just like one of those definitive moments in history.
I mean,
people like the
genuinely
substance, or walking on a moon.
Genuinely, in most people's lives, the nachos are more important, including mine by far. Not even
you guys just don't get people, and I'm a person.
You're a people person. Everyone knows that about you.
So my number one, don't want to steal your thunder, Griffin, but my number one is A Day with Jesus. But
shit,
there is a
specific day.
No, I would need to have a Bible with me because I would like to go through it with him and be like,
yes or no.
What's true?
Oh, so you want to just like literally knock out line items and like highlight and be like, cool,
I want to see his
didn't
reaction.
Happen,
be like,
cool.
I want to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, I didn't say that.
Or maybe you reading it to him will give him all the ideas and then he then does it. So, I mean, yeah.
No.
Thomas was a saint, right? Maybe that was you.
Jesus,
the time traveling you.
Jesus, if he was real, was a cool dude. The Bible has caused some major issues. So if I could get down to the nitty gritty of it, I think it would be helpful for everyone. So I'm stopping global warming. I might be ending religious prosecution as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bringing nachos to the time.
I think you probably mean religious persecution.
Probably.
But yeah. I mean, I guess also to an extent, prosecution. Yeah. That happens too.
At least as I say prostitution.
Here's my take on this. I'm fine with the fact that this is again you time traveling and changing fundamental aspects of history. I don't think it'll have the results that you think it'll have.
Yeah, I think you'll come back with like a cliff noted Bible and everyone's like, shut the fuck up. We don't care about you.
Great job, dude. You have a highlighter. Sick.
I'd get it notarized.
You'd get it. No, okay.
I'd bring a notary with me.
Yeah. He'd be like, there'd be a lot of references in the updated Bible when you got back, and it'd be like, yeah, this dude in an Eagles sweatshirt didn't know what the Eagles were at the time. He couldn't really describe it all that well. He just kept saying, "Go Birds."
Yeah. No,
Big
but
Bang
then
forget.
it'll be like this guy, but he's legit. He said he actually spoke to Jesus, and be like, yeah, him and every other religious leader in the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, but
So again, it does sound like you want to be a cult leader.
when I come back and I'm like, guys, look at this Bible, and also I can be like, hey, Griffin, Jesus thinks you're creepy. He doesn't know why you were sleeping in the cave.
yeah.
Oh, so you're coming back. You're coming back post resurrection and everything too.
I think after your mention of it, I have to.
So
he can
not
be like,
only are
be
you
like,
changing.
Who the fuck was that guy?
Sure. Okay. All right. So you know where he's at post resurrection. You're going back with a lot of knowledge that we're not really working with.
I mean, I'm bringing a Bible with me, so
It's true. That's true. They're going to be very confused by the language.
if I get there and I walk in on him and he's mid writing the Bible, I'm gonna be pissed.
He's just sitting down writing it himself. It's his autobiography.
in his office.
I'll be like, they were right.
I feel like you fundamentally don't understand how the Bible came to be based off of this conversation.
No, God,
but look,
Jesus,
I'm not the Jesus
no.
guy. I threw in the towel on that one. So hey, good pick, man. I'm all about this one.
This pick is making the nacho pick looking pretty good. I like the nacho
pick was great. Nacho pick was great.
Yeah.
Nacho pick feels like it should have been your true number one. You're the food guy, not the Jesus guy.
I'm the global woman guy.
You're the global. And the Australia guy. You're both the Australia guy, kind of.
Yeah. All right. So number 5, 10-cent beer night, Cleveland, Ohio. Number 4, Titusville, Pennsylvania. Stop Drake's Folly, saving the world. Number 2, Oprah's 25th season premiere, so I can go to Australia for free. Number 2, the invention of the nachos. Number 1, a day with Jesus and the Bible. That sounds like I'm just like going to like pray.
I hope. It sounds like you're just going to like day camp.
Yeah, Jesus
like
runs a day camp.
Thomas, you can do that. You can go to a Christian day camp.
It sounds like Jesus is like my youth pastor, and I'm just going to see him.
I mean, in a way, he kind of would be.
What
not an old
pastor would you ask for?
Yeah. It is probably the best option.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe undoubtedly.
Be so knowledgeable at the end of my list.
Yeah. You'd
Yeah.
also probably be a cult leader, and you would have
riding dinosaurs while eating
the development of science, and there's a lot of things you would have been at the end of your list.
I'd be a cult leader who brought the nacho to Australia, stopped big oil, and got drunk with a bunch of baseball fans. I mean,
and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I ride a Triceratops who has a compartment strapped to his back full of nachos. Fuck off.
I so badly want to live in the world you live in.
My Triceratops would have won the Great Emu War. All right.
Just single-handedly. I'll be honest, my Photoshop skills are not this good.
I agree with you. None of our Photoshop skills are this good. I don't even want to try putting this together. Look, Thomas, goddamn, dude. I'm just gonna Photoshop you onto Jesus if we're.
I did warn you guys that my list was diverse.
Yeah, yes. I think we had some off the wall picks today. We had a lot of no's. We had a lot of no's.
A lot of no's.
You guys had a lot of no's. I had a lot of.
We said no to you at least 3 times.
Like what the fuck?
Like the majority of times we said no to you. Again, as always, I want to say good picks, but they were kind of just picks. They were lists. Look, we made some lists. It's not nighttime, so I do feel like it's dishonest that we keep calling this list night, but
it's list time.
Good job, guys. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And if you're watching back home or you're listening or you're in your car or whatever you're doing, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. As I said at the beginning of the show, you may remember, make sure to give us a like, make sure to hit the subscribe button or the follow button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you're driving your car, don't do this right now. Make sure you're stopped at a red light or pulled over by the cops or back home. Make sure you rate us and review us.
Escalated quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I want to make sure you're not in motion when you do this because I know it's going to be a priority for all of our fans to rate and review us. And if you enjoyed the episode or you enjoyed any of our earlier episodes, share it with a friend, tell people about it, throw it up on Facebook, throw it up on Twitter, do whatever. help us quit our jobs and turn this into a full-time thing. I don't know if we want to do that, but I'd like to be a less controversial Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I disagree with that actually.
Okay.
I don't know why I said yeah, but
no.
no, that's a no.
Oh. All right, that's a no.
Yeah.